This is CBN NewsWatch.
Thanks for joining us for CBN News Watch. I'm Mark Martin. At the White House today, President Donald Trump announces a Middle East peace plan that he calls a win-win for both Israelis and Palestinians. With Israeli President Benjamin Netanyahu at his side and evangelical leaders looking on, Trump said the plan is significantly different from past failed efforts. Heather Sells has been following this and joins us now. Heather.
Mark, the president emphasized what the plan does both for Israelis and Palestinians. For Israel, the president said that Jerusalem will remain its undivided capital and that security will remain paramount.
We will not allow a return to the days of bloodshed, bus bombings, nightclub attacks, and relentless terror. Won't be allowed. Peace requires compromise, but we will never ask Israel to compromise its security. Can't do that.
For the Palestinians, the president said the plan would double their territory and put their capital in East Jerusalem. He said the plan's vision will encourage $50 billion in commercial investment by U.S. allies to Palestinians.
Over the next 10 years, if executed well, 1 million great new Palestinian jobs will be created. Their poverty rate will be cut in half, and their poverty rate is unacceptable now and only getting worse. Their GDP will double and triple.
Israeli President Benjamin Netanyahu said the plan strikes the right balance between the Israeli need for security and the Palestinian need for self-determination. Mark.
Heather, Hamas is rejecting the plan, and there's been no response from the Palestinian president so far on this. What's the idea for going forward with it at the time?
Well, of course, President Trump and Netanyahu face domestic political challenges right now at home. So many believe this diplomatic work will help shore up support for both. But also, the president is putting investment on the table to help Palestinians, similar to the rebuilding effort in Europe after World War II. And there is hope that the Palestinians will recognize that there is money for them in this, and that the Gulf Arab states like Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates will sign on. Mark.
All right, Heather, thank you. President Trump's legal team came out swinging yesterday, hammering home their message that the president did nothing wrong. But will John Bolton's bombshell lead to hearing new witnesses? And if so, might Senate Republicans seek a one-for-one deal? The president's attorneys argue the Ukrainian natural gas company Burisma paid Hunter Biden millions of dollars to serve on its board, even though he had no experience in the industry.
Well, he did have one qualification. He was the son of the Vice President of the United States. He was the son of the man in charge of the Ukrainian portfolio for the prior administration.
As to charges the president used executive privilege to obstruct Congress?
Really? Is that the principle in the United States of America? That if you assert legal privileges or rights, that means you're guilty? That the innocent don't assert their rights? That the president can't defend the constitutional prerogatives of his office? That doesn't make any sense.
However, reports that former National Security Advisor John Bolton's upcoming book claims that the president said he wanted to hold up aid to Ukraine to pressure an investigation into the Bidens is cutting into the defense's case.
I haven't seen a manuscript, but I can tell you nothing was ever said to John Bolton, but I have not seen a manuscript.
Nothing in the Bolton revelations, even if true, would rise to the level of an abuse of power or an impeachable offense.
The allegations sent shockwaves and gave Democrats renewed energy to call for witnesses.
It boils down to one thing. We have a witness with first-hand evidence of the president's actions for which he is on trial.
On CBN's 700 Club, CBN chief political analyst David Brody points out that the New York Times article that first reported the allegations never quotes directly from Bolton's book and doesn't name its sources.
In the article itself, the New York Times article, the prestigious, air quote, New York Times, says that multiple people told them this. Well, hold on for a second. Let's unpack multiple people. That sounds to me that, who's that? The guy at the local deli? I mean, the point is that at some point, readers need to know who these multiple people are, because let's face it, we all know people, sources have an agenda, and a reader must know where that person, him or her, are coming from.
Bolton said he would testify if subpoenaed by the Senate. Now even some Republican senators have come out saying let him speak.
It's pretty fair to say that John Bolton has a relevant testimony to provide to those of us who are sitting in impartial justice.
Some warn that will mean more witnesses and a longer trial. Senator Lindsey Graham tweeting, if there is a desire and decision by the Senate to call Democratic witnesses, then at a minimum the Senate should allow the president to call all relevant witnesses he has requested. CBN News is providing special coverage of the impeachment proceedings, and we're carrying the Senate impeachment trial of President Trump live every day on the CBN News Channel. The World Health Organization has upped the global risk of the coronavirus from moderate to high risk, but they still have not declared the outbreak an international public health emergency. The death toll in China has risen by 25 to at least 106, and the U.S. and other governments are preparing to fly their citizens out of the city of Wuhan. U.S. health officials are recommending that people avoid non-essential travel to any part of China. So far, the new coronavirus doesn't seem to spread as easily among people as the flu or SARS.
It stays on surface, yes, but if you touch a door handle, for example, or I give you, I don't know, I would cough into my hand and then pass you my phone, immediately it could transfer. But if this stays for, and I don't have a time range, but fairly short, then there's no risk anymore. So if you pass by half an hour later, there should be not a problem anymore.
Outside of China, there are now 45 cases in 13 countries. Two pro-life organizations are teaming up in an effort to get a special advertisement in the Super Bowl commercial lineup. The ad is an abbreviated version of a video that features the faces and stories of abortion survivors. The full video was revealed last week during the March for Life. Here's a clip.
Can you look me in the eye and tell me that in my most vulnerable state, I was nothing more than a parasite?
A collection of body parts. Subhuman?
Worthless?
Wow. My Faith Votes and Faces of Choice have launched an online petition for the ad to be accepted and played during the Super Bowl. And joining us now is the founder of Faces of Choice, Jason Yates. Jason, tell us about the making of the original video and the reaction people have had since it was revealed.
Yeah, but first, let me correct you, Mark. So I am the CEO of My Faith Votes, and we're joining with Faces of Choice. And the founder and executive director of Faces of Choice is Lyric Gillette. And she's a young woman who I am just incredibly impressed with. And she's working to bring awareness to a demographic of survivors who have largely gone unnoticed. And of course, those are survivors of abortion. And she's pushing hard to get this played during the Super Bowl. It's a 30-second spot, and she's getting no response, even though we've heard that there are spots available still to be played during the Super Bowl. And so we're putting the pressure on. We're creating a social pressure campaign where people can go and sign a petition and email the executives at Fox Sports and let them know that this is something that needs to be heard and talked about. You look at the Super Bowls of recent past, and important social conversations have been taking place in commercials. Issues of immigration, issue of the Me Too movement, including commercials by Coca-Cola talking about transgenderism, et cetera. So the Super Bowl is a national stage that's been used to talk about important issues, and we believe that this is an important conversation that needs to take place.
Jason, talk about what you did differently to make it fit the requirements for a Super Bowl commercial.
Well, the commercial itself says nothing about abortion. It talks about survivors. It talks about the Holocaust of our day. It alludes to that there's something drastically terrible happening and that people need to pay attention. And then it simply takes them to the Faces of Choice website. It plays along in the same way that many of these other commercials, like the commercial in 2018 that 84 Lumber did on immigration. Same type of thing, telling a story, but then taking them to a website to learn more about the issue and the story.
Jason, what are your other plans for the advertisement, and what audiences are you hoping to reach?
Well, we're trying to reach as many people as we can from the pro-life movement. We're trying to get influencers that will speak up and tweet about this. We really, actually really hope that somehow the President of the United States hears about it and might tweet about it and encourage Fox. We want Fox to play the spot. We don't want them to get upset and go away. We absolutely do want this spot to be played. And so we're trying to put the pressure on and get hundreds of thousands of people to support this.
Okay. All right. Jason Yates, the CEO of My Faith Votes. Thank you, sir. Thanks for your time and sharing this.
And Mark, can they go to myfaithvotes.org, and there's a place there that anyone who's watching this can sign that petition.
Okay. Thanks for that information as well. Blessings to you.
Thanks, Mark.
Coming up, lawmakers are questioning a new environmental regulation rule, but one man shows us how it hasn't changed much. And before we go to break, here's a look at what's trending on CBNNews.com.
If you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time, keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
You know, I think as a father, it's my job, to lead, just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Orphans Promise is committed to loving and serving at-risk children, to helping keep families together, and to creating opportunities for strong and sustainable communities around the world. We're working in over 60 countries around the world, and with your help, we can do even more. There's an old African proverb I love that says, if you want to run fast, run alone. But if you want to run far, run together. At Orphans Promise, we want to run far so we can touch the lives of as many orphaned and vulnerable children as possible. But we don't want to go alone. We're out to change the world, one child, one family, one community at a time. Will you join us?
Welcome back. President Trump's Environmental Protection Agency has replaced a federal regulation called the Waters of the United States Rule. Conservatives said it gave the government too much power over private property across the country. But the government has also used other environmental regulations against ordinary citizens that were in place even before that rule and are in effect now. In November of 2018, CBN News brought you the story of one Wyoming man who was threatened with millions of dollars in penalties and years in jail simply for building a pond on his own property. Paul Strand told us how he fought back.
In 2011, Andy Johnson obtained all the necessary government paperwork before building this stock pond on his 8-acre ranch in Wyoming.
He worked with the state, the local government, got all the sign-offs he needed, and created a pond in his front yard.
And since we've built the stock pond, not only does our livestock benefit from it, but we've had eagles, we've had blue heron.
Former federal regulator Ray Cagle Jr. insists the pond benefited the environment.
It had the added benefit of
creating quite a bit of nice habitat for fisheries, wildlife, waterfowl, and wetlands in general that were created because of the pond.
Johnson says it even filtered the water from 6 Mile Creek that he was using and made it cleaner. But none of that was good enough for the Army Corps of Engineers or the Environmental Protection Agency. The EPA demanded that Johnson dismantle the pond in 30 days in the dead of Wyoming winter or face serious fines because they said he'd done serious wrong. Jonathan Wood of the Pacific Legal Foundation.
He should have asked their permission first. And for having not done so, they demanded he remove the environmentally beneficial pond or pay up to $20 million in potential fines.
The EPA has came in and threatened to take everything that we've ever known.
More than his money was on the line.
Almost every environmental statute includes criminal provisions, so you could go to jail and face criminal fines for things that most of us take for granted on our own property, like moving dirt from one place to another.
The potential fines were about $37,500 a day and piled up into the millions because Johnson ended up in a long, hard fight against the feds.
We suffered many sleepless nights. We're still fighting the battle.
Johnson and his lawyers announced in 2015 they were suing the government over its treatment of the Johnson family.
And seeing what the EPA is doing to this family, it made me so angry.
How much power do we want to give unelected, unaccountable bureaucrats?
Wyoming's 2 senators wrote the EPA. The compliance order reads like a draconian edict of a heavy-handed bureaucracy.
It's just devastating to think that our government, the country that we live in, that I work so hard and pay taxes to, is now attacking us.
I think the thing that people connect with in the Andy Johnson story is he's just like all of us. He was doing something that most of us would probably do on our own property without even thinking about. And for doing that, the government threatened to ruin his life and his family's life.
The bureaucrats accused Johnson of violating the Clean Water Act and potentially affecting navigable waters they believed 6 Mile Creek fed.
Someone went to the computer on their desk, pulled up Google Maps, and based just on that, accused this man of violating the law.
Wyoming attorney Dan Frank points out how they made mistakes in reading the maps.
Had they ever gone out, they would have found that it dead ends in a canal and it doesn't ever reach a navigable water of the United States.
By just going by the map, they also mistook how the creek flowed.
They assumed the water was flowing uphill. If they had gone out and looked at the property, they would have found the water flowing the other direction.
The only thing that makes sense from my experience as a former federal regulator is that the government quite often, in my own personal experience, does things that don't make sense.
Given the mistakes his team uncovered, Johnson felt compelled to fight for as long as it took.
I decided that I was not going to tolerate our government telling us exactly what we can and can't do on our private property.
Ultimately, Johnson and his legal team won. The EPA backed down and gave up the fight. Wyoming Senator John Barrasso wrote after the government caved, "This settlement is a welcome rebuke of an agency that has gone too far."
The government has incredible leverage over you. They can ruin your life and ruin your family's future if you don't do whatever they say. That's why it was extremely brave of him to fight back and say, no, you've exceeded your power. I haven't done anything wrong.
In the end, the EPA didn't get even $1 from Johnson, and the pond still exists, still benefiting the environment, which you think the Environmental Protection Agency would appreciate. Paul Strand, CBN News, reporting from outside the EPA in Washington.
Daddy?
Yeah, buddy?
How many nickels are in a dollar?
There are 20 nickels in a dollar.
How do birds fly? Does milk really make my bones stronger?
Yeah.
Daddy, when we die, will we go to heaven?
Do you have the answer to life's biggest question? Call the 700 Club. We'll help you find answers to the important questions life brings your way.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs from health to entertainment you won't find anywhere else. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place from a Christian perspective. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. To watch the CBN News Channel, download the app or visit cbnnewschannel.com.
Hello, I'm Dr. David Perlmutter, board-certified neurologist and #1 New York Times bestselling author. Wouldn't it be great to boost your energy, eliminate brain fog, and even reverse brain disease? Well, you can, and I'm going to show you how, along with some of the world's most well-respected brain experts in this DVD, Protect Your Brain.
Get Protect Your Brain, a free DVD only from the Christian Broadcasting Network, featuring experts on the cutting edge of neuroscience and brain health.
No matter how many times you've failed in the past, you really can do this.
In Protect Your Brain, you'll discover simple strategies to keep your brain young and healthy. Improve your memory. Discover the gut-brain connection. In Protect Your Brain. Get your free copy at cbn.com or call 1-800-700-7000.
If you want to improve the quality of your life, get the DVD Protect Your Brain and get it today.
This Sunday is the Super Bowl, and if you're looking for festive foods for the big game that are healthy, cheap, and fast, our health reporter Lori Johnson interviewed celebrity chef Ellie Krieger, who shows us what's on the game day menu.
So now you're going to be showing us how to make these phenomenal nachos. And again, my favorite part about them is they're healthy. Healthy.
Healthy, but also really decadent. So I want both of those things. So one of the things that I do to make it healthy is I use potatoes instead of chips, right? Okay. Typically nachos are made with like greasy fried chips. Yeah. But here I just slice potatoes and roast them on the pan. So it's all happening on one sheet pan. I roast them on the pan, and then once they're crisped, I kind of just move them together like this to pile them up. And now, making it a complete meal, I use beans. So there's a can of pinto beans, or really any kind of small red bean you want. And then I just,
those are cheap.
Yeah, it's
very economical.
It really is. And then I just put some garlic. I spice those up because we want a lot of flavor, right? Some chili powder. Cumin, coriander. I don't know if you want to put some of that salt in here too.
Sure. So these are the Mexican ingredients, the cumin and the coriander.
Yeah, and the chili powder too.
In their spice cabinet.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these are kind of, to me, the essential basics. So then I pour that on top, and so then you're getting lots of protein in this meal. So
now, for people who don't like beans, you can substitute meat,
You could
right?
do ground beef, absolutely, here. So, and then that's a meaty meal. But, or you could do ground turkey. That would be nice too. Yeah. And then I just use cheese. So cheese, I see food as usually, sometimes, and rarely. So I make most of my dishes full of the usually foods, full of vegetables, fruits, lean proteins. And ingredients like cheese, I use in minimum amounts for maximum impact. So you want the melty cheese on there, but you just don't have to use a ton of it, you know? So there's two kinds of cheese, and what happens is this goes in the oven for the cheese to melt, and I have one in there. I'm going to pull it out.
So it's not really going to take very long for all this stuff to melt. I mean, we're talking about 5 minutes or so, right?
Yeah, about roughly 7.
All right. Oh, there's the finished product. Ooh,
gorgeous,
so
right?
Good.
Well, this is only step 1 of the gorgeousness.
Oh.
Okay, so then on top of here, you add some more lovely bright toppings. So I put avocado.
My favorite food.
Is it?
It's becoming my favorite food. It's just the perfect food. It's that healthy fat.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just adds so much to make this a complete meal. And what you can do also is you can serve this for 4 as a complete meal, or you can serve it for a party. I mean, this is something fun to dig into on game day.
Yes, Super Bowl. And you know, I mean, I love the fact that these are potatoes. Now, do you use white potatoes in place of the chips?
Yeah, regular potato. Any kind of potatoes will really work. Yukon Gold, russets would work for this. And then I do some yogurt for some creaminess. And look how gorgeous this is.
Yogurt in place of sour cream?
Yes.
Okay, that's healthier.
Exactly.
But is it as good?
I think so. Well, I use the really nice, thick Greek yogurt.
Oh, okay.
And that makes a really big difference.
Okay, that's good to know. So I've never really been brave enough to substitute yogurt for sour cream.
Oh, you should try it. But anyway, even if you want a little sour cream, it's just a little anyway. So being careful not to burn ourselves, we can actually dig in. But this is the 1 sheet pan potato nachos, and they're so good. And you know you wish you were here eating them with us. I wish you were too.
Amazing. I'm going to try this yogurt to see how it compares to sour cream.
So good.
All right. Oh, this is so good. Can't tell the difference.
It does the trick, right?
So once again, the title is Whole in One, play on words, because you can make a whole dish, no, a whole meal, not a whole dish, a whole meal in one container, one vessel, as you say.
Sheet pan, pot, or skillet.
Sheet pan, pot, or skillet. And these are all extremely nutritious and also pretty fast and also economical. I mean, what more could you want, right?
Exactly. It's all there. It's a hole-in-one.
Looks like something to try there. Well, you can see more delicious and nutritious meals tonight on Healthy Living at 9:30 Eastern, only on the CBN News Channel. And don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after the break.
I am Region's first ROTC graduate student.
Meet the pastors who are preaching the gospel in a fresh, fearless way. I'm Roberto Torresadillo. Join me each week for Next Gen Voices. And watch God transform a generation.
How'd you like to get a redo on your health, on your body, on your arteries, so you could have the energy you had 20 years ago? The great news is you can. I'm Dr. Mike Roizen, chair of the Wellness Institute at the Cleveland Clinic. I've written 4 New York Times bestsellers. But even better than having to read all that, you can listen to this DVD and watch it. Protect your heart? Yes, you can. Here's how.
Go to CBN.com or call 1-800-700-7000 for your free copy of Protect Your Heart. Let the medical experts show you their new discoveries on how to avoid heart disease and even reverse it. Easy steps to uncover the hidden dangers in your medicine cabinet, reduce stress, and get a complete do-over for your health. Call 1-800-700-7000. That's 1-800-700-7000. Or go to CBN.com to claim your free copy of Protect Your Heart.
Super Bowl 54 kicks off this weekend, and the Kansas City Chiefs will face the San Francisco 49ers. It's the first time these teams will meet in the big game. CBN's The Prayer Link recently spoke with a former ESPN producer about how churches can use the game as a tool to promote the gospel.
What they are is, like I said, a sermon replacement to bring Jesus into the conversation through the lens of football. And what we do is we present stories from NFL players, Super Bowl winning players, telling us how God has moved profoundly in their lives. So we feature this year Benjamin Watson from the New England Patriots and Nate Solder from the New York Giants and Prince Amukamara from the Chicago Bears. And they're just telling their story of how God and Jesus have done amazing things through their journey of both football, but even more in life.
Awesome. You can catch The Prayer Link tonight on the CBN News Channel at 6:30 Eastern. And that's going to do it for this edition of CBN News Watch. Hope you'll join us next time. Have a great day.